Oh, we're going. Okay, recording. Here we go. Okay, sometimes there's a delay. All right, everybody. So thank you so much for joining into how to reduce or lose belly fat part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, it is in the Move, Live, Eat Better Facebook group, and it is also, I have a link, so I can send that out to you, but you have to ask me for it because I won't remember. So I also wrote a book called Cookie Dough in the Dark, and I have been doing what I'm doing for the last 30 years, and I'm much better at it now because I've had a lot of practice. So I've been personal training, I teach fitness, I'm health coaching. We do the Vibrant Living membership is where I have an awesome group of women over 40, and we really learn how to, you know, it's so funny. Laura wrote me a testimonial this morning and she said, you know, I came to Tanya's group to lose weight again. And this time she's kept it off. And this time it's a year and a half later, but it's not only about the weight. She's learned so much about herself and doing things she never thought she would do. So I really want to start out with this, that I know we have the goal of losing weight, but when you learn the skills that you need to do it, it's transformational. And I have goosebumps because it really, really is. And it's not all about food and moving. Okay, there's more. So I'm going to dive into some of that, but I am going to start with just some basic things that I think are important to know. And this kind of goes into, are you a sugar burner? Are you a fat burner? Okay, so can you put in the comments, what does that even mean? Do you know what it means to be a sugar burner or a fat burner? Do you know if you're a sugar burner or a fat burner? Are you both? What does it mean? I'm going to turn my heat off here. What does that even mean? Okay, and I'm using very simplistic terms because like the terms you might hear out there are what's the terms I'm trying to think of? Sorry, are you metabolically active or inactive? Right? Are you, metabolically flexible or inflexible? So Linda doesn't know for sure. Perfect. Okay. I want to know that. Like, what does it mean if I say, are you a sugar burner? Are you a fat burner? Are you both? Are you metabolically flexible or are you inflexible? And so here's what I want to shed some light on. Like, I know a lot of people say they want to lose weight, but if you don't heal your body first, your body doesn't care that it has extra weight on you. It doesn't care. So unless you, okay, good, Judy, unless you start to improve your health mentally, physically, emotionally, and we'll get into that with knowing some of these techniques, then the weight will come off. So if I have one wish for you today, it's to be an empowered and educated, but also to understand that it is the health of your body that will help to determine your weight. And so I do promise there's no diets. I do not give you a diet to eat. The goal is to find the diet that works for you. That is your diet. So if you have the body you want and you are feeling vibrant and energetic and healthy, that is a great diet for you. And it's a great lifestyle. Diet's one section of that, right? That is a great, what's the word I just said? Like a lifestyle for you. If you have too much fat on your belly, if you are not sleeping properly, if you are feeling lethargic, if you're just not feeling good, then your diet, your lifestyle needs to change. It's really as simple as that. Okay. And so what's stopping you? Some skills, some education, that kind of thing. And then I just want to bring up this one thing from last week. You know, I mentioned to people to measure their waist. And if it was over 35 inches, like that is a red flag. So somebody, you know, said to me, Tanya, I've been big boned all my life. So, you know, it's a benchmark, right? So some people are bigger boned, but if you can grab a good solid chunk of fat around your waistline, like it needs to go. And I don't mean it needs to go for vanity, which is really nice. I'm vain, but it also needs to go because it's not healthy. Okay. It's just, those are the facts. So just you know, have a look at your waistline between, you know, how old you are now and 10, 20 years ago. And a lot of people try and blame weight gain on age, but it's your lifestyle. It is how you've lived and it's catching up to you. Okay. So I'm not one for a lot of fluff. I really get, you know, to the ball, to the, you know, the nitty gritty. So I don't mean to be harsh or, you know, uncaring. I really am. And I think that's why I'm so brutally honest. So, all right. So I want you to pretend I saw some of your answers and I'm going to just dive in here. So think of yourself as a car. Okay. Actually, yes, you're a car. So now I want you to think of a car in your driveway and you just went out and you bought a hybrid. Okay. It runs on gas and it runs on electricity. Okay. Your body runs on carbohydrates and it runs on fat. And I am simplifying this. Okay. I'm not going to get into like all the chemical reactions here. So when you're driving your hybrid car, you fill up the gas tank and say you're driving for, I don't know, 20 hours. Okay. So you fill up the gas tank and your battery is charged and you're driving and you're driving. I'm going to go to Florida. Okay. I'm driving to Florida and I notice my gas is getting to empty, but all of a sudden it just kicks into electric and it's like nothing happened, right? Like, it's not like my car broke down. It's not like I had to like, oh my God, panic and find a gas station. It just went from using gas to using electric. Okay. It works. Now, the difference between being a sugar burner and a fat burner is that is how our bodies used to work. So you would eat, you have this immediate energy called glucose, carbohydrates, comes from proteins and carbs, and you would use this energy. Okay. And then when you ran out of this energy, your metabolism, your machine would seamlessly start to take fat from your stored fat cells. Now, over the last 20 years, okay, gradually, this has been breaking down. And so a lot of us are burning sugar only. Not all of us, but this is called metabolic inflexibility. So what happens is you're burning sugar, okay, and you cannot tap into your fat cells, and please hear me, okay, you cannot tap into the stored fat. So your body says, oh, I'm hungry. I need to eat because I need energy to move. Does that make sense, everybody? Because this is like the crux of it all. So we have so much energy stored on our body in fat cells, okay? We have so much fat in those fat cells, but we're not turning the switch on to get into there. So you think of dieting, you think of all this stuff, but if you cannot get into those sources of fat cells, it's like you just keep going around and around and around and around. Okay, so today we're going to uncover some things about how to get into those fat cells. So last week, I'm going to do a recap on nutrition, and then we're going to talk about some working out, and then I'll see if you have any questions. Okay, so we have trained our bodies to run on carbohydrates. And there's your simple carbohydrates and there's your complex carbohydrates. Does everybody know the difference between simple and complex carbohydrates? Just put yes or no in the chat there. Yes or no. Okay. Just so I know if we're on board. Okay, yes. Okay. So there's an abundance of carbohydrates. Okay, so simple carbohydrates are like, think of processed food. That's the simplest way to say it. They go into your blood system, they fire you up. There's no fiber. Okay. And it is unfortunately what most people are consuming. Okay, and then you have your complex carbohydrates, which are your vegetables and your fruits, because they have fiber, they have nutrients, they have nutrient density. So a lot of you have heard me say over and over again, like calories matter, but that you need to put them in context. And so a lot of people will count calories, and trust me, I've had people coming to me and they say, Tanya, I'm eating calories. I had a Diet Coke for lunch and a rice cake, so I only ate 100 calories. And I'm like, yeah, you really didn't, like, those are not good calories, not good calories. So this is when I say about counting calories, you have to have some context. And so instead of it's important to know the calories of foods, but more importantly, if you really focus on eating nutrient dense whole foods, it kind of fixes the problem. Okay, right? Instead of buying a bag of, I don't even know what they're called, veggie sticks, okay, which is a simple carbohydrate, just have some carrots or some celery or some red pepper. You see what I'm talking about here? So the veggie sticks are simple carbohydrates, very fast fuel in the body, fire up our blood sugar, crash us down, affect our insulin level. But say you ate 100 calories of those, but I ate 100 calories of carrots and broccoli, okay? Completely different in the body. Even though we both ate 100 calories, completely different. Mine have positive things that are going to affect my hormones positively. They have fiber, so they're going to help me poop. They've got nutrients, so they're going to help my cells. Veggie sticks, no. So really pay attention to your diet, right? And it's this transition of going into whole food. And then this is when emotional eating can come into this. Okay, so calories are fine in context. The other thing I want to mention before I go any further is I do promise no diets, so you can eat whatever you want, and you will lose weight, I promise you, okay? If you tweak it to give you what you want, okay? I hope that made sense. And you can do it without deprivation and restriction, because I'm going to empower you to make better choices. And when you empower yourself to make better choices, you're not doing it from a position of lack and deprivation. You're doing it from a position of, this is what I actually want to do. And I need us all to switch our mindset here. If you, after drinking a glass of wine, feel, oh, Derek, you just said wine. No, you know what? Nothing's out of the question. I still drink wine. Like, this is the thing. I do not restrict myself from any food. But there are certain times that I choose not to indulge or eat certain foods because of the results they're going to give me. Does everybody understand that difference? So people will say to me, Tanya, I just lost my train of thought, sorry. With the wine, I was going with the wine. Tanya, I drink wine and I get night sweats. My feet are itchy. I wake up and I feel like I've been I've been run over by a truck. Okay, so I'm not going to deprive you of the wine, but how do you like the symptoms? So what I'm saying is, if you have water, let's just use water for a minute, and you have the best night's sleep and you wake up feeling like $1,000,000, have you deprived yourself of anything? Like the wine, you're looking at the wine as like, don't take my wine away, you're depriving me, but you're not looking at the health benefits that you're going to receive by doing a mindset flip. So I used to have a deprivation, like, don't take my chocolate away from me, don't take my cookies away from me. And then I had this switch of going, you know what? I am so tired of feeling bloated, gassy, low energy, and lethargic, which is low energy, that now before I eat those cookies, I say, Tanya, do you want to feel bloated, gassy? You're probably going to eat more than one cookie. You're not going to sleep well because sugar affects me. Do I want that or do I want the cookies? And now I have a choice, and I'm not really depriving myself of anything because I can make a very educated, empowered choice. And I think that's what's missing in diet culture is that just asking ourselves that question. The other thing is that, oh God, why are these thoughts coming into my head and then leaving really quickly? Anyway, it'll come back to me. So reframe the whole diet restriction deprivation. I don't restrict any food. I can eat whatever food I want. And I hear ladies, women all the time saying, oh, I can't eat that, I'm on a diet. Okay, I can't eat that because I gotta fit into my pants. And that's just such a horrible language. I can eat anything. So just think about how your words are affecting your choices. And most of the time, oh, your brain seeks pleasure, avoids pain. Just a second, I need to get back on that. Seek pleasure. I'm going to come back to that. Most of the time, your words really affect you. So if people keep taking things away from you, I can't have, you're eventually going to go, yeah, I can, because you have a very childish, most of us are very childish. That's where I was going to seek pleasure, avoid pain. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. The next thing is your brain seeks pleasure, avoids pain. I've said it 1,000 times in our membership. Seeks pleasure, avoids pain. So you have set up your lifestyle to seek pleasure. So in the moment, that glass of wine, those cookies, the bag of chips, that is pleasure to your brain because it feels good to you in the moment. So what we do in our coaching calls every Monday is we learn to rewire the brain. So now the pleasure is more important, not eating or drinking said item. Okay. That is a mindset shift. And I will tell you that most of the work you're going to do to lose weight is with your mind. Okay. We all know what we should be doing. Honestly, I honestly think we all know. Now, there may be a few things because I know in my membership, we dial it in a little bit more, but on the basic level, we know that we probably are eating too much food. Some of us are drinking too much wine. Some of us are emotional eaters. We don't know how to deal with stress. We're eating after dinner. Are there any things that you can think of? Can you put in the chat? Are there any things that you can think of that you are doing that are not giving you the results that you want? Okay, if you're really being honest with yourself, I'll tell you some of mine. I have a hard time with portion control. Okay, so I love food. So sometimes it's very hard for me to stop eating when I've started. Okay, that's one. One that used to be is that I would feel frustrated and I would go eat 20 cookies because I did not have the skills to deal with frustration. Okay, wine and eating at night. You know what? This is a great one. Somebody in our membership said the other day, they start drinking wine. What happens with wine? You have snacks. Okay, what happens with wine? You lower your inhibition. I'll do it tomorrow. What's another cracker? What's another glass of wine? Okay. And that you have to realize is your body, your brain seeking pleasure because the pain of stopping in that moment is really uncomfortable. So this is another skill that we develop in the Vibrant Living membership. How do you sit in discomfort? What does discomfort feel like? Where do you feel it in your body? So this is what I mean in regards to you honestly know some of the things you are doing that are sabotaging you, but every time you try not to do them, you come back to doing them because you haven't developed the skills to move through them, which a lot of people don't talk about. Okay, emotional eating. Emotional eating is huge. Dieting does not fix emotional eating. And yet, listen, I was an emotional eater. I didn't really understand I was an emotional eater. All I wanted was to lose weight. So I understand that weight is a huge driver in our goals. And it's still a huge driver for me because I'll be honest, I feel better when I'm at this weight I am right now. Okay, my body doesn't ache. I have way more energy. My clothes feel fantastic, and I freaking look awesome. Okay, and there's no problem with owning that vanity of wanting to look amazing, right? And then there's also the other element that I am vain and I want to look this way, but I also want to be in my 80s and kicking ass. Okay, so that is the health aspect of this, is that I am driven by a lot of health. I do not want to be in my 70s with a cane. Okay, I want to be like trotting down the road like I know my stuff. And you've really got to tap into, how do you want to look and feel 10, 20, 30 years from now? And tap into that. And then this is how we start to get that pleasure, and like the brain seeking that pleasure rather than immediate gratification. Okay, like it is so fascinating to me. It's so powerful. And that's why I love the membership. And I love all of you. The 3 of you are in the membership that are on this call, that you are in it for the journey. You're done with quick fixes. You're done with the dieting. You're done with like trying to find the magic pill. And I honestly don't want to work with those people, because I know it doesn't work long term. You can look study after study, and dieters, 95% of them gain all of the weight back plus more. Okay, and also really mess up everything in their body in the process. So I'm going to just type this in here so you guys have it, and then I'll just read it quickly, and then I'm going to read the comments so you can see that. Still eating after dinner some nights, trying to have a roller, but have tea. Is it good? There's so much information pain in the morning without the wine and carbs. Yes, it is. Lauren, you're connecting the dots there. Okay, so you are metabolically flexible, okay, which means your body is good. If you have energy all day long, and you can switch back and forth between being a carb and a fat burner, which means you're not hangry. Okay, you're not hangry. Okay, you're pretty stable. You can skip meals, but let me just say, okay, caveat, if you're just starting the process, I don't want anybody skipping meals. Okay, you're less hungry because you're eating more nutrient dense food. You have less cravings. You have more control over your food choices, and you can lose weight easily, and you have less chance of disease. Okay, that's if you're metabolically flexible. Your system is working for you. There's about 88 million people right now that are pre-diabetic, and it's very scary. It's really draining our healthcare system. So if you're not vain like myself, and it's all about your health, then really tap into your health, because if you do not get rid of this belly fat, you are headed for a health disaster. Okay, you're headed for diabetes, like then you can lose your eyesight, get your limbs chopped off. Okay, you're headed for high blood pressure, heart issues, cancer. Like, it's not fun. Okay, so this is your warning sign. This is your wake up sign to get your shit together. Sorry, to put your big girl pants on, which is what I did when I was 35. This is when I really turned my stuff around. Okay, so you are metabolically inflexible, and I'll just type it here because I know some people like to see things. If you have low energy, okay, you are dragging your butt. You feel sluggish, like, oh, geez, you just have no energy to do anything. Okay, you can't skip meals. You're hangry. I totally was that person. I had to eat every couple of hours because I was burning that immediate sugar. Cravings are out of control. Oh yeah, cravings out of control. I was there. It's harder to make food choices because you are just driven by whatever's in front of you. You lose control. You eat too much. You eat too often. You can't lose weight. It's stubborn. It's not going anywhere. No matter what you do, you try and exercise, all this kind of stuff. Okay. And it's hard to lose weight and maintain. And maintain is what I'm after in my group. I don't really mean to be mean here, but I really don't like before and after photos, because I want to see a before photo and I want to see the after photo 5 years from now, not 30 days, not 3 months. Okay. It is really easy to lose some initial weight. Most of it's water weight. It's very simple to do, but my passion is that it never comes back on, ever. okay, and that you get healthier and more vibrant in the process. So have a look at that. And there's a lot of, you might have heard this word, metabolic syndrome. I don't know if you've heard that. So metabolic syndrome, we've got, you know, abdominal obesity. If you can grab, you know, a good chunk of fat there, that's abdominal obesity, okay? High blood pressure, high blood sugar, pre-diabetic, high triglycerides, low HDL cholesterol. So those are just some of the things that can happen. So just diving in here, we talked about nutrition last week, and I'll just go over that one more time here, but I want you to stop making excuses. I want you to stop blaming other things, and I want you to start taking personal responsibility that you actually have way more control over your weight than you think you do, okay? You need to dial in your nutrition. You need to dial in your exercise. You need to dial in your sleep and your stress, okay? Those are like really big wheels to deal with. And last week we talked about nutrition. So you have to deal in portion control. You have to make sure your plate is balanced. You got to be aware of your snacking. You got to ask yourself some questions. Are you really hungry? What's going on? Again, we dive deeper into this in the membership, but so meal timing, when are you having your carbs? Are they earlier in the day? Are they later in the day? Are you eating after dinner? Okay. How long is your fast? So I talked a lot about intermittent fasting last week, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's worth listening to if you have any questions about that. Okay. So who in here lifts weights like minimum twice a week? Do you lift weights minimum twice a week, and for how long? Okay, so let's see the answers rolling in. Okay, so how often are you lifting weights per week? 2 times, 3 times, 1 time, 0 time? Just want an idea here. Okay, how many times, Judy? Come on, everybody. Fess up. Let's see. Take ownership of how many times you're lifting weights. Okay. Okay. How often are you doing cardio? Okay. How often are you doing cardio? Like that can, on the easy side, that's, you know, walking your dog, going for a walk. I'm not a runner. I don't do running, jogging. I do a lot of walking. So excuse me. Oh. How many times are you doing cardio? Okay. 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 And then how often are you putting into your workout schedule rolling? I'm a massive rolling proponent. Rolling, stretching, yoga, Pilates, meditation. How much of that is during your week? Okay. So walk lots every day. Okay. So another thing we talk about in our Vibrant Living membership is having a balanced approach to exercise. We're over 40. Okay. Most of us are over 40. We're all over 40 on this call. We don't want to exercise the way we used to. So we need to get smarter. And the king of weight, I'm only going to talk about this one today, is lifting weights. If you don't like it, all I can say is learn to like it. Honestly, learn to like it, because I want you to think about this. Is it worth, if you don't start lifting weights and then your bones are brittle and cracking and you have to walk with a cane now because you have osteoporosis, would you say, oh my God, I wish I lifted weights 20 years ago or even 5 years ago? This is what I mean about forward thinking. Okay. So every time you're like, I'm going to learn to lift weights. I'm going to learn to love it. I'm going to love it because it's going to keep my bones strong. Okay. I'm not saying just because you lift weights, you're never going to break a bone, but I am saying you definitely increase your chances. Okay, so who cares about bone health? Maybe you don't care if you break a bone. Okay, maybe it's like, Tanya, just tell me how to get this belly fat off. Well, lift weights. Okay, if you lift weights, it helps with burning off your food. Okay, it makes your muscles strong. Your muscles have to use more energy. Okay, but it is not, you can't out exercise a bad diet. So don't think that I'm just saying lift weights for 5 minutes a day and then you can eat whatever you want. That's not how it works. You need your balanced plate, but lifting weights is really going to fire up your muscles. Okay. All right. Okay, let's see. 3 times weights are my least favorite. And do bands count as a waste? Okay. Yes, you can. Any overload on the muscle is great. And then, it was very interesting. I listened to some mindset work yesterday. Why are they your least favorite? Because this is the resistance that we need to work through in regards to breaking it down as to why you're feeling that way. So just something to think about. We can talk about in the membership. Okay. So how do we start getting more weights in? Okay, that's called habit stacking. So for example, a lot of you say you like to walk, then do 5 minutes of weights before you go out the door, or do 5 minutes when you come back in the door. And if you have no idea how to lift weights, I have a program called Beginner Start Here, and you can learn how to lift weights. And again, this is your independence I'm talking about, as well as getting rid of body fat. Okay, is if you see a frail old lady, do you want to be that frail old lady, or do you want to be strong and independent? Like, I don't know. You just have to ask yourself these questions, and depending on what you want is going to start to drive your daily actions. I do not want to be the frail, hunched over lady. Like, that's not in my future. I see a very strong, independent woman that has great muscle tone. So like, I just see it. It's not even like, do I maybe see it? No, I see it. I see it. Okay. Am I going to have a few aches and pains? Yeah, but not as many as other people, because I'm going to have a balanced approach to exercise. Okay. So it sounds like, sounds like I might be on a lonely island when it comes to loving weights. But I hope that I have like planted a seed of really understanding the importance of it. Okay. And that's why, we do a couple of weightlifting classes a week in our Vibrant Living membership, and you have the option to show up live if you need the accountability and support, which FYI, 99% of people need accountability and support. So if that's what you need, then do it. Your health is worth everything. If you don't have your health, life sucks, to be quite honest. Okay, so walking is great because it helps to decrease your cortisol. Next time we'll talk about stress, and also decrease your insulin levels, and it gets you into a fat burning zone. And a very quick message on a fat burning zone here is you actually pull more fat from your body when you're doing just everyday activities. And this gets very complicated, but when you're doing high intensity workouts and you can't breathe, you're burning immediate sugar. So I'll just give you a little, and I do not recommend this, but people often ask me, because listen, I used to eat 4 Snickers bars, and they're like, well, why aren't at a time? And they're like, well, why aren't you overweight? Because then I used to get on my Stairmaster. This was when I was in my 20s and 30s. And then I used to wear off all of those calories. Okay. But I made myself sick. I really messed everything up in my body. But I was definitely in that calories in, calories out game. I would eat 4 Snickers bars, and then I would go work out for 3 hours to burn the energy off so it doesn't go into my fat cells. So when you overeat more food than your body needs at that time, and this is why nighttime eating is so detrimental to your waistline, it's not being used up, so it just goes and stores into your fat cells. And then if you're not metabolically flexible, it can't even come out of your fat cells anymore. Does that make sense? Does that really starting to go like, oh, like, maybe that wine is not, I'm not depriving myself of wine. I'm actually depriving myself of good health and a smaller waistline. Okay. So one last trick, if you are going to start lifting weights, which I highly recommend, is if you can, this is a little more advanced, but if you can do it before, like first thing in the morning, then you're actually getting into your stored tissues because you have no energy, like you haven't consumed any energy. Does this make sense, everybody? So you actually tap into your fat cells. So when you exercise in the morning, you're training your mitochondria to burn more fat. So that is important. So for example, let's just say one simple thing you could do, put a set of weights beside your coffee maker. I'm not a coffee drinker, but beside your Brita filter or whatever in the morning. And while that coffee is brewing or your kettle is boiling, just pop out some bicep curls, a little shoulder press. I don't care. Just start with something and you're going to start waking up your mitochondria. You're going to start tapping into those fat cells and you're going to start burning that stored fat. And that's a very simple shift you can make. So again, it's up to you whether you decide to do the work. And this is what I said, I think last week, if you don't want to lose weight, stop using your energy on the weight and focus on something else. And I have to tell you, I did. And I focused on my health. And when I started to focus on my health, it actually became fun. And like Laura said in her testimonial, so many things changed in my life. So many things. Because I took the pressure off of my weight. And I cannot tell you how liberating that is. So, okay, let me just answer questions. And then, so, I really need to set up a detailed schedule for workouts. Yes, that is a great idea. That's why I send out the calendar at the beginning of the month. It tells you the days, the times we're working out, what the workouts are. You plug it into your day timer or whatever, and you show up. And then if you don't show up, that's where you do some work as to why you didn't show up. Okay, that's the fun part. And if you did show up, you high five yourself. Live classes do make a big difference. I see you on the screen. And it keeps you accountable. Okay. So is that before eating anything? Yeah, Judy, if you were going to do weights, you could have some water, you can have a cup of tea. But if you were just to do it 5 minutes before breakfast, then that's good. A little bit longer would be great, but I just start with a minute, 5 minutes. And then what it's doing is it's actually tapping into your fat cells because it doesn't have any energy, like immediate energy. Just do you understand like the immediate versus stored? Yeah, right. So if you eat your breakfast, see, this is something else. Like I set up my day a lot like this. Like I eat lunch and then I walk my dogs typically. So I eat lunch. I've just given myself all this energy. And, today I'm sitting here talking to you guys, but I'll typically go and walk my dogs. So now I'm tapping into the energy I just ate instead of just sitting here and my body's not using it up. Okay. But I don't want you to get fanatical about it. I just want there's just some simple tweaks you can make that can just shift, how you start to use energy. If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Okay. All right, everybody. Does anybody have any other questions? And I just want to say, please, we talked about intermittent fasting last week. I really want people to focus on not how late they eat breakfast, but how they can stop eating after dinner. That's going to be your biggest needle mover. Okay. It's the food you eat. This is one of them after dinner that is not needed. It's completely habitual, social, emotional. Okay, and this is what we work in our program. We got a lot of things going on in there, but that is not your friend. Is not your friend. Okay. So there you go, everybody. We did a little recap about nutrition and metabolic flexibility. So next week when we dive in, we're going to dive right into two other areas, or one area, which is sleep and stress, which is affecting your eating and your workouts. Okay, and so you have to dial those in. So can you mention again the best window in the day for carbs? So typically when you're eating your complex carbohydrates, we're trying to reduce our processed carbohydrates. You want to eat them earlier in the day. Okay. And you want to eat them at the end of your meal. So if you can start to shift, so this is what I say to all my overeaters, or my nighttime eaters, just take all the food you're eating after dinner and eat it at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I will tell you that you probably eat that food at 10 o'clock because you're eating for the wrong reasons after dinner. Does that make sense? That's when you know you're an emotional eater. That's when you know it's a habitual eater. Okay. So all I'm trying to do is just shift that food to earlier in the day. Popcorn for breakfast. You go for it. But it's really fascinating if you think about it, everybody. Okay. So what size weight should we start? Oh, what size weights? You know what? If you haven't lifted weights, technique is really important. I don't know how much, like what your skill level is, but I would say you can start with 3 to 5 pounds to get the technique down. And then, I would really, you can get strong very quickly. Linda has upped her weights to 8 pounds. She went from 3 pounds to 8 pounds or something like that. And yes, I know. And there's like, we don't have to be lifting 100 pounds. But generally you can start to lift up to, 20, 25 pounds, not for every muscle group. So Monica, it really depends on the different muscle groups that you're working. My triceps are much stronger than my biceps. So, you just learn what you can handle. How much water should we drink? Oh, geez, that's that's something we've been working on in the membership. Take about half of your weight in ounces, and then schedule out what you're drinking now and how much you can start to drink. And I've broken many, many bones. Yeah. So you know what? I don't know if you've had a bone density test, but I would definitely go and get one. And, just honestly protect your bones. So it's nice to also have the belly fat come off, but also protect your bones. Okay. All righty, ladies, if that is it, I hope that's been helpful. There's definitely a lot of takeaways in there that you can start to do. And I know in my membership, we really work on like the underlying causes, because like I said at the beginning, you have definitely learned some things, tips and tricks to do today. Are you doing them consistently? Because you're just a product of your habits. Okay, so are you doing them consistently? Are you making them a part of your lifestyle? Are you working through the emotions? Are you developing the skills that you need to for long-term success? So there you go. Okay, I'm going to stop all the recordings here, and I will see you next Tuesday, same time, same place.